I know that I'm gonna ruffle some feathers with this one, but even if it comes at the cost of those in the anime community under the age of 15 firebombing my house, I'm willing to speak for the truth. Shonen is boring. And when I say that, I don't mean that One Piece is uninteresting from episode 1 to 1000 and plus. Almost all anime have their hype moments and their peaks, making you want to scream at your screen while crushing a Red Bull can into your forehead. But I feel like Shonen series in particular get away with way too much boring shit for just a few moments of Ultra Instinct Bankai Fugasms. Haikyuu had an entire season dedicated to just one volleyball game. Doesn't anybody else feel like things are going really fucking slow at that point? Anyways, what I want to say is that Shonen can be really boring at times, but instead of whining about it while giving no constructive criticism for half an hour as some people do, I'm gonna put what I think are some valid points as to why a lot of people are not interested in Shonen into the playing field, then hide in the darkest corner I can find before the Naruto boogeyman can find me. Alright, I'm just gonna speedrun this first point since it's so obvious I don't think we need to talk a lot about it. I'm just gonna put a 30-second timer there and some Subway Surfers there and go! Shonen's history drag on way too long, usually because the publishers want as many chapters or episodes as possible. When a story overstays its welcome, it just becomes boring, rest in peace Bleach. Then it also takes a decade to finish, which makes me forget the entire series like Attack on Titan. I read it for so long that when the end was coming along, I'd forgotten most of it, who the characters were, and that's kind of on me, but this is a common occurrence since we can't remember that one background character, which is now important. There's also filler, which is straight up blah, and also we can't forget the OVAs. Yeah, I think that's enough of that. If you don't get what I mean, just read chapter 16.5 of Sword Art Online. I know that this doesn't apply to every shonen and every character, but in general, the characters are flat as fuck. I think there's no better example of this than good old Fire Force. A lot of people like to rip on Fire Force because of their tasteless fan service, but there are honestly much bigger problems hiding under the surface of Fire Force, and their stupid ass characters are definitely one of them. Take this Num for example. I'm pretty sure that she's the female lead of Fire Force, you know, the Uraraka or Orihime, but I swear to God, she doesn't say more than 20 sentences the entire goddamn series. She's just in the background smiling or acting out when the plot needs it. The first outro of Fire Force is amazing, giving her both exposition and setup for an inner conflict, but they don't do anything with it because ooh, now she's kidnapped and the main character inserts himself into the issue without even needing to at all, and now it's over. Huh? You wanna learn more about her? Well, too bad for you, because she's gonna sit silently in the background for another 30 episodes. There's also this girl who I have to crown as the dumbest motherfucker in Shonen. And for you to understand why she is so stupid, I'm gonna have to explain a bit of story. Don't worry, it won't take long. So, main character wants an engineer. Main character finds an engineer. Engineer doesn't want to join them because he has a quote-unquote family to take care of. Bad guys show up to kill the engineer. Now, Mr. Engineer, whose name is Vulcan by the way, tells his family to escape when suddenly Lisa, the girl he saved several years ago, reveals that she was a spy for the bad guys. She deviously infiltrated their home pretending to be a part of their family. Then she starts fucking beating the shit out of Vulcan like she's been holding in her anger for years. What a fucking asshole. Now this is where things turn dinky. The main characters manage to escape from the bad guys with Vulcan, and Vulcan tells Lisa to come with them, and unconsciously she almost grabs his hands to escape with them. Okay, that's kinda strange considering how you were just beating the shit out of him just a second ago. Then a couple of episodes later, when they meet again, Lisa continues acting like she hates him until Vulcan, the Rizzler of the Century, says, "You look good in anything," and she turns redder than an anime fans when they talk with women. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here with my fucking jaw on the floor at how the story suddenly flipped over, and now it turns out that Mr. Giorno Giovanni, who's actually pretty cool, has her under its mind control, and that's why she's doing all of this. Wait, mind control? What kind? It looks like she's being manipulated more than her mind being controlled by him. And since when was mind control even canon in Fire Force? How did he even control her mind in the first place? Oh, and now they beat Giovanni up and take Lisa while she's unconscious, and now she's a good guy. What? The mind control is somehow gone and Lisa is now a part of the crew again. You gotta give me something to work with here. She was actively beating Vulcan up without being provoked in any way. And by that I mean that Giovanni wasn't anywhere near them when she suddenly decided to kick Vulcan when he was already down on the ground with pure fucking hate on her face. She infiltrated their family and had the chance to change her mind about betraying them for years, but she didn't. She went from that disgusted expression to being a shy baka almost fucking instantly. It's almost like she only needed to betray Mr. Engineer so that he would join the main character. Then the author suddenly had an aneurysm and changed her entirely. This isn't a character, people. This is what we call a predictable, boring, cliche plot device. Whew, I think Gordon Ramsay is my spirit animal. And this was just one out of hundreds and maybe even thousands of examples. I mean, does anyone seriously believe that this pink-eyed dude from Jujutsu Kaisen will actually become swallowed up by the demon thing inside of himself and become evil? No, that's total bullshit. The worst thing that will happen to him is just that he loses his sense of self for a bit until his friends step in and say some cheesy lines until he wakes up, or someone stronger than him beats him up and he wakes up. There are just no stakes when the author never thinks outside the box. Authors of the world, do better. And by that, I don't mean you should draw porn instead. I'm looking at you, Nagatoro. This might shock you, but Shonen isn't all that original. But ElioMio, you bemoan, how could you say that when there are so many unique concepts out there? Like how in Jujutsu Kaisen they fight against invisible spirit monsters. Pitched it at first. I mean how in Jujutsu Kaisen he had a cool white-haired aloof blindfolded mentor. It's just Kakashi, don't sugarcoat it. I mean, isn't it kind of cool how in Jujutsu Kaisen the main character has sealed inside of himself a 9-tailed fox? Oh goddammit, that's Naruto again. I feel like a lot of shonen series nowadays have a lot of different alterations of the characters somehow having superpowers, and that somehow means that the story is original. From quirky Deku to mouth-breathing Tanjiro, there are just no uniquenesses. It's just all about the good guys fighting against the bad guys, but the bad guys are villains or the bad guys are demons. Now I'm not saying that good fighting against evil can't be done well. I'm just saying that all it takes for a shonen to become mainstream is for it to just have one original point. Deku will inherit the power of the strongest superhero. Tanjiro has a demon little sister. What more is truly unique in these stories? Maybe it's My Hero Academia's unique quirk that forces me to count sheep. Pow pow. Characters can be extremely tropey in shonen anime, and you know what? Fuck it, I'll use Fire Force as an example again, since they are masters at reusing old tropes without using anything original. In Fire Force, the main character called Shinra has a rival called Arthur. He's obviously a gag character who mainly shows up to say the funny and then leave, but he holds a very central role in the story. He's the rival, but it's clear that the author just added him because he wanted Shinra to have a rival, not because the story needed it. In fact, we could cut him out of the story and basically wouldn't change anything about the story. If we think all the way back to the Ice Age when Dragon Ball was released, the OG rival Vegeta was only introduced when the story needed it. He's a prince from Goku's home planet who's very prideful. Then most of his character arcs revolve around him learning that sometimes family is more important than going Super Saiyan insert number here, and accepting that Goku is stronger than him. This was actually a genuinely valid character arc, especially considering that the rival trope wasn't even a trope at that point. But Arthur, he's just a pure trope with 1 or 2 funny jokes under his belt. It feels like some series just add a rival because they want that one scene where the main character and the rival eat food together, look at each other, then try to finish their food quicker than the other. It's tropes over what the story needs. Actually, if you look at the whole first season of Fire Force, almost every arc is a trope. There's the main character joins a group and gets a new family trope. Then the young people tournament that is suddenly interrupted by a bad guy showing up trope. Then save the heroine who got kidnapped trope. Then there's the... Actually, this arc wasn't that tropey, but they did have that one fan service scene that the entire anime community unanimously agrees fucking sucks. Then they have the new leader having trouble adjusting to being a leader until something big bad shows up and he beats the shit out of it trope. Then we want to recruit someone but he doesn't want to until he's betrayed and we save him trope. Then finally save the family member who turned evil trope. I maybe stretched it with 1 or 2 of them, but you get the point. A lot of anime nowadays just reuse old tropes without ever trying anything new. And I think shonen is definitely a genre that was caught with its hand in the cookie jar when it comes to never trying anything new. Just wait until isekai becomes mainstream enough to have a shonen series. That's when we'll reach peak unoriginality. Now this point kinda goes hand in hand with shonen characters being flatter than... Shonen caters to too many people and therefore to no one. I feel like there's not much need to explain this one. Nobody relates to shonen characters because they don't have depth. When we see Deku from My Hero Academia, we don't think, damn, not being able to have superpowers and wanting to be the strongest superhero is something that I can relate to so hard. Sorry, I will probably never be able to see Deku as someone other than that one-dimensional righteous dude who I see on a lot of body pillows for some reason. Compared to more adult works, I just can't find most shonen characters relatable, except for Sasuke. I'm like him for real, for real. Okay, this is gonna be my final complaint about shonen, but it honestly depends a lot on the shonen. Shonen is damn predictable, and this might as well be a shit post on Fire Force because it is a damn good example on how to make the most predictable slog ever. Already from the start, I could predict the general direction of the story. The main character talks about how his mom and little brother died in a fire. My thoughts instantly was, why include his little brother? If they wanted to show that the main character lost his family, then it was enough for his mom to be buried 6 feet under. Then I realized, oh, he's still alive. And is probably kidnapped by the bad guys and raised to fight against the main character, and they will probably have a big fight in which he manages to get his little brother back. Well, I would like to say that I was thinking logically like that, but it was more of an instinct. His brother is dead? No fucking shot. When was a brother ever dead in a shonen and not turned out to be alive? And you know what? I'm gonna make a prediction on the spot. I think the main character's father is out there somewhere because they haven't mentioned him anywhere, which must means he's pretty actively involved in the main plot, and we will see him later on. The problem here isn't that I could be wrong, it's that I could be right. Shonen almost always follows the same recipe and it just tires me out. That twist with bipolar Lisa was also really predictable. They even had a scene where Vulcan was happily eating with his family, thinking, man, I'm so happy we are a family together and that our bond will never break. Like, how about you break your neck instead? So yeah, shonen can be more obvious than Team Rocket when they put on a fake mustache to catch a rat. Dun dun dun. Now, for the conclusion. You might have noticed that when I call shonen boring because it has filler, has flat characters, is unoriginal, is too unspecific, and is predictable, there's kind of a similarity between these points. And that's why solving shonen and making a good anime is so hard. You have to solve all of these problems to make a series that holds up. But if you solve one of them, the rest are solved by themselves too. Like, if you had more deep characters, that would in turn lead to you not being able to predict what they will do. And you will also be able to build a stronger relatability and connection with them. All of these lead to the story also being more original. And with more engaging characters, people will feel more inclined to stay for the long run. And maybe even watch the filler. Okay, that's a fucking line, but please go along with it. Solving shonen is the domino effect of the century, and we can even see some series do that. For example, Death Note has deep characters and an original concept, which makes the direction of the story unpredictable. Because both Kira and L have more distinct personalities and goals, we naturally become more engaged with them. And it's also only 25 episodes. Death Note took all of the chains that bind down the shonen genre and broke free of them, which is why you will hear more people saying that Death Note is their favorite anime and not Fire Force. I also want to remind you that Fire Force does have its good moments, especially in season 2. I especially like Inka, she's a really fun character. I just think that season 1 is so lame, it's almost ridiculous. But I do think they're great in some aspects, like for example, they're not afraid to kill people. You know what? That's also kind of important. Not being afraid to kill a character just leads to more suspense, that's just a fact. Check out Chainsaw Man or Fire Punch, they're especially good at this. Whew, man, I really went on a rant on this one, but I think I got my points across. I do want to remind you that you're free to like whatever you want. As long as it's not 7 deadly sins, I will always accept and respect others' opinions. Shonen is a great gateway for young people to get into anime because it is so generic, so I suppose everything serves its purpose. I myself remember the little manga part in my library at my school where they had a couple of Dragon Ball and One Piece books. I read those and loved them. Then I read Naruto, then I fell in absolute love with Bleach and so on. And you know what? I think that nostalgia from younger days is strong enough to beat any point about how bad or boring shonen is. In the end, the only truth is that you should watch anime with love. And that One Piece needs to end. Please, Oda, just make it end!